Welcome to NBA Talk on the KD Pod with your host, Kyle Downing. I'm back with Mr. Gal himself. What's up, Mikey?
What's going on, Kyle? Glad to be back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So today we're talking about a couple teams that have been exceeding expectations, playing pretty well. We're talking about the Warriors, the Wizards, the Clippers, and the Heat. So we'll start off top with Mikey's hometown team, his favorite team. One of the teams in LA. What is that? We got the Clippers. All right. So Mikey, talk to me. What's going on in LA?
It's looking real good. We run this town, baby. Sorry, Laker fans, but they really did exceed my expectation for this year so far because I thought without Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers will struggle on offense. And I think so far, Paul George really got rid of that pandemic P image that people gave him. Like he is playing at, I'd say, superstar level right now in the league. Definitely top 10, maybe top 5 right now, like performing wise in the regular season. And then one of the best two-way players, averaging 26.7 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2.1 steals, and it's legit carrying the Clippers team on offense, defensive end.
A little bit like, that last year in Oklahoma City, right? Where you finished third in MVP voting. You're really like, okay, here's PG come stepping up. And, without Kawhi, all the spotlight was on him. And he's like, all right, I guess I can't take a backseat role or blame Doc Rivers for making me come off pin downs all the time and whatnot. Whatever that was, So, he's been a stud. He's been a stud. And how are they doing? What's their record so far?
I gotta actually look up their record right now. But I think they started out 1-4, and they won 8 out of 10 games following that.
Wow!
So right now they're 9-6, and they're 6th in the Western Conference, which is, without Kawhi Leonard, with only Paul George playing, I think that's a pretty good record for them right now. Yeah. And just they've been playing really well. After 1-4, I thought their offense was so stagnant, and then we got a couple guys that started playing a lot better. I'd mentioned Reggie Jackson, Mr. June himself, the goggle. I mean, he is with a $11 million contract. He is doing his job. It's
a bargain.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So run me through their, if you had to condense it down into a playoff 9-man rotation. If let me give you my estimation, stepping back from distance, would be, because he's got the money. We've got Bledsoe and Jackson in the backcourt, right? PG in the front court, and then if Kawhi's back, he's there. If not, it's a slurry of Marcus Morris, Nick Batum, and then Zoo at the center, right? And then off the bench, you're talking 4 players. You got Terrence Mann, Kennard, one of the other, combination of Batum, Morris, and then maybe Ibaka if he comes back. Do you agree with that? What would you change?
For me personally, I'd change. I actually do not like Eric Bledsoe running with the first unit, because when I see Bledsoe running the 2 guard, our offense is not fluent, and then he's not really so much of a shooter, and then he kind of just packs the space for Paul George and Reggie Jackson, that this defender will just gap everything and just help off him. So my ideal starting lineup, if Kawhi is coming back, I would put Nicholas Batum in the starting lineup. I'll run Paul George as a 2. I'll run Leonard at the 3, Batum at the 4, And I don't know about Zubac. That's my thing. I don't know about Zubac. Like right now, I would run Hartenstein at the 5. Like he's another unexpected player that, because the last time I heard about this name, he's competing minute with Joe Chi. Because he is such a mobile player, right? He go in there, he do the same thing as Zubac, because we don't really need like Zubac to post up, score 20 points a game. We just need a defender that can get rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
And Isaiah Hartenstein does exactly that while being more mobile. He can, like, if you had a switch and you see Zubac and Hartenstein, I think Hartenstein have a faster, like I think he can keep up.
I think he's getting a little lower in a stance. I'll give you that. Zubac is a bit more of an Cantor standing straight up type of guy, for sure.
Hartenstein definitely bending his knees for sure.
So I don't know how much your Agua Caliente Clippers viewership has been, but what are your thoughts on Ibaka? You know, getting ready to go down there and then coming back into the rotation as the season goes along. You excited?
I mean, he's missing a lot of time from when he last played. He's been off for a long time, and then he's also aging. But definitely, like if he comes back into his like original shape, where he's being like a steady 3-point shooter, I'd say he's above 34%, which is really solid for a big man. Also defending the rim and finish. I feel like if he's fully healthy, I'd be really comfortable running him at the 5, which he does everything while playing like defense and stretching the floor. So if Kawhi is in his low ISO situation, like you can't help off of anybody on the team. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is big because they don't really have that option at center unless they go really small. So going to their bench unit, who, you know, let's crunch it down to 3. If you got to take 3 bench players that are going to be in the rotation in the playoffs, could end up finishing games, who knows? Who would you pick?
Well, straight up coming off the bench, my first option is Terrence Mann, as we saw last year. Yeah, like his defense, his energy is like unmatched. Nobody on that team had that. Like he's young, he plays nose defense, he gets into people, and he doesn't complain about it. He just go out and play. And I know his offense is like iffy, but you can see how like first year when he played and last year during the playoff and this season, you can tell like he's been working on his offense. He have a more steady jump shot. He had more tools in his bag that like he can be a threat on the offense now.
Who else?
You know, Luke Kennard. I'm not the biggest fan of that contract.
Yeah.
As I mentioned a lot of times before, we paid him $64 million before he played his first regular season game. Not a fan of that contract at all. But I feel like this season he's been a really efficient shooter. 45.8% 3-point field goal percentage.
Wow.
So like when he catches the ball and he's shooting it, you kind of know like it's gonna go in. And like he's this like kind of like JJ Redick off the bench now, off pin downs
with a little more ball handling. Like
he
could run some one off the bench in a pinch for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then my third will be Marcus Morris.
Okay. Also, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So that would be a pretty. I feel like Clippers is a sneaky deep line, like have a sneaky deep lineup. Like like a lot of people doesn't really notice it, but like some players can play.
Yeah.
Off the bench.
Yeah, and they're versatile too. You know,
mm-hmm.
PG can play 3 positions. Kawhi can play 3 positions. Kennard can play 2. Jackson can play 2. Marcus Morris can play 3. Like they just got a lot of versatile guys. Batum, Terrence Mann, they're all like interchangeable. And you know, when you have a coach in Ty Lue who is so willing to make adjustments, at any time, he, you know, you saw it. The best example was obviously against the Jazz when they went small and stretched Gobert out. when you have a coach who's willing to make adjustments and you have a team with a lot of versatility, it's a good recipe. And they
Yeah.
got one of the best players in the league possibly coming back around winning time in the playoffs. So definitely keep a lookout for them Clippers, man. Keep a lookout. I'll tell you that. So moving on to another team that, man, is exciting, has a ton of good pieces, is mean and plays defense, and that's Miami Heat. As a Celtics fan, it's tough to root for these guys. It feels like it's the Paul Pierce KG Celtics against LeBron and D Wade again. Feels like every time we go there, they're tough to beat and they hate the Celtics. So, yeah, man, they're a legit title contender. I'll tell you that. I know you have a specific comparison going on with this team. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So I have to come back to my Clippers, the prime Lob City Clippers. Now I'm just looking at their lineup. They also have a really, really deep team. And I'm looking at this team.
I don't know about that. I don't know about depth. I don't know if they're deep, but keep going.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. Okay. So I'm just looking at the roster spread. So Lowry, playmaker, like older point guard that have a lot of experience, had a championship.
Mm-hmm.
He reminded me of CP3 on the Clippers, and got starting Duncan Robinson, JJ Redick off pin downs, stretching the floor. Major weapon in the playoffs, as we saw 2 years ago. In the playoffs, made a big impact. And we got Bam, that's kind of like a Blake Griffin, lob threat, can handle the ball, really skilled big man. Mm-hmm. Really underrated too. I feel like he's really underrated. Like nobody really takes him as like a superstar level player, but like he definitely have the capability to do just that in the playoffs. And we got Tyler Hero. It's like a 6-man. Lou Will, Jamal Crawford type player that can get you. He's averaging 21 right now off the bench. So definitely like a quick offense off the bench. And finally, you got a player that the old Clippers doesn't have, like a really good wing, and that's Jimmy Butler. Probably top 3 in the MVP voting right now. And
absolutely,
as we talked about like our last podcast, it's like these players are like struggling during the new foul rule. Like they're trying to ask for fouls. They're like shooting a horrible percentage. Not for Jimmy. No,
he wants the contact because he knows he can finish through it. Yep. Like he is like, he has Giannis's finishing ability with half the physical size. His finishing in the paint is incredible. He's going to get 7 layups every single game and have 14 points. And you add in his pull-up, which is a legitimate go-to shot at the end of any game that you're like, okay, we're giving it to Jimmy and he's going to get to a mid-range, and he's got that dog in him that you're like, okay, we got our go-to guy. We have some legit young talent, and we have, a floor general with experience and can stretch the floor that they haven't really had in the past, who can also play defense. Yeah, I completely agree with you. They're a legitimate contender, and I think their biggest X factor is Bam Adebayo. He's super talented. I think his biggest attribute that is underrated is his playmaking. His ability to make plays and pass out of the high post. He can be your point guard. You throw it to him at the high post, and they do it like a down screen to a curl dribble handoff with Duncan Robinson. It's a elevator 3 every time. He can penetrate and kick. He can get to the rim, and he's so big and physical and strong that it's really tough to stop him. And he's a good defender at the end of the day. So, yeah, they're like the Clippers, the old Lob City Clippers, but with that superstar wing that they needed
instead of Matt Barnes. Yeah, instead of Matt Barnes, you got prime JB.
Yeah, no Hedo Turkoglu out there, you know?
Nope. No. Yeah. No.
Absolutely. So staying in the East, there's another team, and I don't know if they're a contender, but man, they're up there in the standings, eh? And
Yeah.
and that's the Washington Wizards. So I'll go into them a little bit. They are deep, to say the least. They are deep. They turned John Wall in a ridiculous contract and an aging superstar with multiple injuries into KCP, championship 3-and-D player. Kuzma is around 20 points a game and can shoot the ball, can do a lot of different things. And then Montrezl Harrell, which I think he's averaging 20 points a game too. And he's just, yeah, like he brings that energy, toughness that is really hard to find every night in the regular season. And man, he can contribute to, I don't know what his win share is. I'm sure they have a stat for it, but like his wins above replacement, he contributes to a lot of wins in the regular season just because of energy. So who else on their team are you a big fan of?
Well, Bradley Beal definitely like he
Yeah, without
is.
being said, of
Yeah,
course. Of course,
but
Bradley Beal.
one of the guy I really like is Dinwiddie,
Of
coming off a
course.
partially torn ACL, coming back straight to it, like running the show. He's gonna give you bucket. He's averaging a pretty good amount of points every game, and he can play make. So that's exactly what they needed. Like they are missing that last year with like Westbrook. I'm not the biggest fan of Westbrook. He's like, I know he's, I mean, top player, but like not the smartest at all time. But I feel like with the asset they got from the Lakers, they're such a more well-rounded team than just running the show with Westbrook and Bradley Beal.
Yes.
And you got just you basically like the Wizards upgraded every single position after trading Westbrook, and now they're just a more balanced team. And with this being said, like they're still missing Rui Hachimura, they're still missing Thomas Bryant. Like people forgot about, like they still have some good players that are gonna come back.
Exactly.
And they can only get better from now. Like I finally see the Montrez that I missed. Like I missed this Montrez. Like this Montrez was not on the Lakers. This Montrez was on the Clippers. This Montrez was missing after he got traded to the Lakers. Right? He had an attitude on the Lakers. He's not getting a minute. He's frustrated. He's not having the same energy. And man, like look, like watching this guy is so fun. It's like he is like a juice box. Like he's just going there, unlimited energy, just punching himself in the face. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah, and continuing on their depth, Dinwiddie is, I think he's a legit lead guard that can contribute in the playoffs and probably better than Westbrook because he can shoot the ball. He's high IQ and defends at a much higher level. He's someone I really wish the Celtics would have looked into in the offseason. So moving along in their lineup, they have Brad Beal, who's having kind of a more down year, probably just because there's more shots to go around. And then they have KCP, Kuzma, and if everyone's healthy, I think Gafford would start at center. Gafford is a good player. He's a very, very athletic, rim running, lob threat, can defend the rim. And then their bench, man, they have Aaron Holiday, who they got for nothing, who is he's a holiday. Like
he's a holiday.
He's gonna defend. He plays the ball. He plays the game the right way, and he's a great third guard, fourth guard. Neto can come in, run the show when need be. They have Denny Avdija, Israeli's Prince Charming, who's really come along this year. He's a good defender, a good rebounder. It's just about can he shoot the ball. Kispert's been playing. He can shoot it. Hachimura's coming back. He is a talented young player. Of course, you have Bertans. He's a shooter. I don't know if he's going to make shots, but he's going to shoot them, and you got to guard him. So that says something. Trez coming off the bench. And you just go on down the list, and you're like, wow, they got just a lot of competent basketball players that could all. You look at them on the floor, and you're like, oh, okay, you got to respect that. And they're what, first, second in the East now, something like that. You think it's sustainable?
I wouldn't say it's sustainable, but they're definitely a strong contender. I feel like going on through the season, I feel like Miami, Milwaukee, Chicago, all these teams are gonna climb up the stairs. But I feel like Wizards will definitely do better than last year. They will maintain, I'd say 5-6 solid playoffs team, and then definitely not first, but you can't just underestimate them now. They got legit players that can just go out there and give you buckets and just
Definitely.
give you
So do you think the Celtics finish higher than them in the standings?
It's kind of tough to say that right now.
It is.
It's kind of tough, yeah. But that's your team, man. What do you think?
I don't know either. I think they're way deeper, and they have more clarity in terms of who's doing what. They have run the show, will distribute until the fourth quarter, Dinwiddie. They have a go-to scorer who knows he's going to get the ball in the last seconds. And then they kind of have a good balance of defense, shooting, and playmaking surrounding that. Where the Celtics, you never know what you're going to get on a given night. You could get 30 from both the Jays, and Marcus Smart's getting charges left and right, and Rob Williams has a triple-double. And you're like, man, this team is a contender. And then they go out and Tatum goes 5 for 25, and Rob Will gets hurt. You don't
Schroeder
really know.
Shooting the elbow jumper.
Yeah, and missing him. But hey, I'll say Schroeder has been playing a lot better. He's had some big games so far, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of rather have him over Kemba. So, if you take that and you throw some Horford in there and more developed Naismith, Langford, Grant Williams combination, I think they should be better than they were last year, which is a 7 seed. So if they get 5-6 seed, I'd be happy as a Celtics fan. So do I think they're going to finish higher than Washington? Yes, but it'll be close. On the other side of the coast, we have a team that's playing incredible, really special basketball. And what I'll say is really just for one reason and one reason only. And that's the Golden State Warriors. That's right. So talk to me about their start. They're first in the West. And what's the reason for their success? What's going well for them?
Well, first of all, Mr. Steph Curry, still incredible. After however many years being crazy. The guy is just, we can say by now he's the greatest shooter. Or not by now, a couple years ago, but he's gonna become the number one 3-point shooter before the year ends. He's 56 threes away from beating Ray Allen to be the
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
And with a couple hundred games less than Ray Allen.
Oh yeah.
He's already beating him. And just incredible watching him play. He's shooting 41.9% from the three. And his 3-point shot are not catch and shoot wide open threes. As I mentioned, Luke Kennard, right? The guy is shooting half court. He's shooting off the pick. He's shooting step back, off balance threes while shooting 42%. That itself is crazy. And he's shooting at a high clip too, right? And number one scorer in the league right now. Just incredible player. and also just all the role players basically on the Warriors, as they always do, like get these role players going. But Jordan Poole, like one of the younger core that really stepped up into like kind of Clay's role. Just filling in at the two guard position. Like he's not the smartest player. Like he shoots some bad shots when I watch him play, but he's got all the tools. He's got the motor. He can like shoot the ball, and just the bench, like Mr. Gary Payton making some splashes off his crazy dunks on Instagram, but like it's his defense that's making a huge impact. Damian Lee, Nemanja Bjelica, Otto Porter, just everybody's doing their job. And of course, you got Draymond Green running the show. And just this is not their full, like they got Clay and Wiseman coming back. It's like this team right now went from one of the bottom teams last season to right now number 1 for defense, number 3 for offense. Just imagine when Clay and James Wiseman come back. This team is going to be dangerous.
Absolutely. I think Poole would be a good it would be easy for him to slide into that sixth man role coming off the bench. You said he takes bad shots. That's kind of more okay in an instant offense, Jordan Clarkson, Crawford, Lou Will type role. And he fits that. And plus he could, he's much taller than those type of guys. So he adds a little more versatility at 6'7" or something. And then there's one player you didn't mention who's goes under the radar a lot of the times, notoriously unvaccinated, and that's Andrew Wiggins. Yeah, he's been, as good as he can be this year. He's had some good big games. He's in the best situation for who he is. He's never been I want to put it as like a go-to guy who's gonna bring it with intensity every night. He's just kind of a good role player with above average talent who can, give you 20 on a given night, can get a poster, like 3 poster dunks in a game, can get 3 steals and a block or something. And then when you move to other guys on the team, they just know how to play Warriors basketball. Mm-hmm. And this type of Warriors basketball has gotten so refined that they are just running it to a T. You have Steph Curry, the most impossible dude to guard in all of basketball, on, off the ball. He is a madman running around for 48 minutes. He draws so much attention that if you get guys with the right skill set and the right basketball IQ surrounding him, it only makes him better, and then it makes the team really, really tough to guard. And something that people really underappreciated during the Kevin Durant days was how good they were on defense. They are incredibly connected as a team on defense. Steve Kerr, you think he's shooting, his offense, he's, whatever. His defenses have always been incredible. They move the ball, they think the same way, they're a step ahead. And when you have players like Gary Payton coming off the bench, elite defender, you got Iggy still on the team, you have Draymond, you have Clay coming back, Wiseman with the potential to be a rim protector. They're legit. I mean, that's not really a hot take necessarily, but they're maximizing everything they have. With that being said, let me ask you this. Do you think they hang on to some of their young guys and just kind of stash them and hope they develop over a couple of years? Or do you think they throw together a package to try and get, I don't know, type of player? What do you think?
I think they're going to hang on to them. It's like Jonathan Kuminga had his moment. It's like being an elite defender, as much as I'm not a fan of him. I watched this game. Like he's kind of just like this underdeveloped Kawhi Leonard coming into the league. Like his defensive capability. It's like I saw him. I forgot which game was it. But I saw him playing like on ball defense, and it's incredible. Like watching him move, watching him just disrupt like the ball handler with his size, 6'9", and his like athleticism. Like you can't teach that. And I feel like in a couple years, if like with the Warriors development, like I think they have a really, really good development program. And if Kuminga and like you got Moses Moody stay for a couple more years, like I feel like they're gonna be really solid. Moses. Yeah. Yeah, but definitely they're gonna be like if they buy into that Warrior system where as you said, it's incredible. Like when I watch their game, it's like wow, like it's just the extra passes and it's like the way they play, like these short passes, like these extra like unselfishness, it's incredible to watch. And if they buy into that, they're gonna be great players. So I don't think they necessarily need a third guy right now. Like they're fine for where they are. Like it's a championship team. They just gotta stay healthy.
I couldn't agree more. You know, to put it simply, kind of wrapping it up here, it's beautiful basketball.
Beautiful.
And when you compare that to a certain type of team over in Brooklyn, it's cohesive, which is incredibly important when it's a team game. It's not just a bunch of individuals doing their thing. It's beautiful team basketball. So, Mikey, thank you very much. This has been NBA Talk on the KD Pod. And I'm out. Peace out.